Hello and welcome. Were you there when Jesus predicted his death? Picture the scene, if you will. The year is AD 33. It is the afternoon and you're in Jerusalem. You arrived earlier that morning with your family for the annual Passover celebrations. Jerusalem is heaving with the hordes who have also arrived for the festivities. You are moving amongst the crowds, battling your way through all the shoving and the pushing. You see the excited children playing in the streets. You hear the market traders shouting out, trying to sell their wares. Do you feel the heat as you breathe in the dry dust in that oppressive atmosphere as sweaty pilgrims keep on arriving? As you mingle in the crowd, you notice some Greeks making their way to where Philip, one of the disciples of Jesus, is standing. And above the din and general hubbub, you hear them saying to Philip, "Sir, we want to see Jesus. Can you help us?" And so out of the corner of your eye, you see Philip speaking to Andrew, and then both of them going over to where Jesus is seated on a bench. Now your curiosity gets the better of you, and you move closer so that you can eavesdrop on their conversation. But to your astonishment, Jesus doesn't appear to respond to the request made by the Greeks. But you hear him say, "Now the hour has come." And this confuses you. What hour is Jesus talking about, you wonder? But then you hear Jesus continue, "Now the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified." Son of Man. Now where have you heard that title before? Son of Man. Ah, yes. Now a light comes on in your head. Of course, that's it. You remember the rabbi teaching on the book of Daniel when you went to the synagogue on the Sabbath. Yes, now it all comes back to you. Daniel had this vision where he was in God's throne room, and thousands upon thousands were around his throne attending him. And then one like the Son of Man arrived and was presented before God. And he was given power and glory and an everlasting kingdom. So this is who Jesus is talking about. But then it dawns on you. Jesus is talking about himself. While you are trying to absorb the enormity of what Jesus has just said, you overhear him say solemnly, "Unless a grain of wheat falls to the earth and dies, it remains only a single grain. But if it dies, it produces much fruit." Of course, you know that the main ingredient of bread is wheat. And you remember vividly hearing Jesus saying just a few days previously that he was the bread of life. But didn't Jesus say that he was going to be glorified? Why then is he talking about his death, you wonder? How is glory bound up in death? How do kingship and crucifixion go together? How can this be? It doesn't make sense. It is at that most uncomfortable moment that you realize that Jesus has a different definition of glory to what you were expecting. His glory is through his suffering and his crucifixion. For the cross not only reveals the holiness and righteousness of God, but it also reveals the love and the mercy of God. But more than that, the cross reveals the extent of God's love for you, for me, for everyone. There are no exceptions. We are all included in God's love. How does that make you feel? How will you respond? But people are still wanting to see Jesus today. And that same question is still being directed at you and me who claim to be his disciples. We want to see Jesus. Can you help us? Do they see something of Jesus in us? If not, then perhaps we need to consider what in us still needs to die. And so as you are lost in your thoughts, you suddenly hear Jesus crying out in agony, "Now my soul is troubled." In these words, we see the humanity of Jesus as he expresses the agony of what lies ahead. For his pain, his suffering, his thirst, his distress, his torment, his feelings of abandonment were real. And yet, he knows there is no turning back. There is no other way, and so more resolutely he says, "And what should I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it is for this reason that I have come to this hour." Were you there when Jesus predicted his death?